Okay, here's my old beat to hell chain tensioner. I got my new one from Ricambi, but it's sort of a kit that you have to put together. So the first thing I have to do is get the old plastic pad off of the metallic support. So I'm going to put it in my vise with my plastic grip so I don't mangle it. And see if I can get the plastic piece off. Yep, there it goes. Okay, so now I have the original backing plate thing, and Ricambi sends you this machined aluminum template for drilling holes in the backing plate. Because this thing has an off-center little dimple sticking up, you sort of can't miss fitting them together correctly. And then you slide it into the vise and clamp it down. It comes with the appropriate size bit for putting in your drill. And now you drill holes where the holes are in the template. Okay, there's one done. Okay, I have my two holes drilled now. So now I flip it upside down, and they send you a drill bit for doing a sort of a countersink on the back side for the screws that are going to go in there. So that goes to the two holes that you just drilled. So we're going to give this a shot here. Okay. Okay, I have countersunk holes now on the back. My next quickie comment is my cam drive wheel down here is off getting some welds put in. Everybody talks about putting a couple spot welds in to keep the fence onto the wheel should the manufacturing process, however they put it on, fail. Just to show you over here, it would be putting a weld 1, 2, 3. So that's being done at a welding shop, although they told me that it's actually two dissimilar metals, so it needs to be brazed, so they're going to be brazing it on. So put some welds on it to keep your fence on, and the wheel originally I'd put all sorts of paint marks on to have it all lined up, when really for the camshaft drive wheel it doesn't matter. What matters is the relationship of the crankshaft down there to the camshafts. So the actual cam drive wheel is just spinning the cam belt. It has really nothing to do with the timing. It's the crank versus the cams. Okay, so now I have two countersunk holes that match the holes in the new tensioner pad here. There's also slots in the side of the plastic pad that nuts are going to go into, and they provide you with 2 screws to go in the hole, and then you Loctite the hell out of it, and hopefully this will work. We shall see. Next quickie comment is, as you can see, the water pump is gone. Even though the bearings felt fine, everybody recommends getting it rebuilt because you don't want to pull the damn engine out just because the water pump goes bad. It's $300 for the rebuild from where I had it done, and you know, hey, it's more money, but it's insurance. Hopefully I'll be able to drive without any concern. So water pump is missing, but going to be replaced. Okay, my cam seals are all on, and my camshafts are all locked in place with the timing mark set correctly. I think the torque on the bolts for the cam bearing caps is something minuscule, too small for my torque wrench. So I just sort of tightened them until they felt good and tight, but not over tight. As you can see, I've installed the water pump. That was easy enough. Now it's time to put the front cover back on. I have put my one chain tensioner on. That was pretty easy. I think I showed you how to install the plastic part on the old thing. Getting it back into its cylinder was trial and error, but finally it went in. I actually, once I got it squeezed down, I tied it with fishing line, installed it, then cut the fishing line away so it would expand. Now before I can put my front cover on, I have to take my oil pan back off. I'd put it back on just to keep the dirt and the crud out. So the engine's back up on its jack stands instead of its rolling cart, and now I'm going to pop the oil pan on. Okay, before I put my front cover on, I pulled my oil pan back off. There's a fair amount of crud inside, and some coolant had leaked down from the water pump, so cleaned it all out. Cleaned it with brake cleaner, then blew it out with the air compressor so it's surgically clean. Made sure my gasket services are good, although it doesn't actually use a gasket, it uses just the goo stuff. Similarly, on the bottom of the block, cleaned up those surfaces. The only interesting thing was on the studs that come out the bottom of the block that go in these holes, there's like a little ring of shellac around a lot of them. So if you've got that, make sure you pull it off so you can get a really good tight seal. Also on the block along this surface, there was a lot of goo that needed to be peeled off, which is a real pain in the butt, but it's all clean now. Okay, now that the oil pan's gone, from down below I can actually put the front cover on. Like I said before, number one chain tensioner is on. The other chain tensioner hangs inside the front cover. Interestingly, my old tensioner block was a little worn, so I bought a new one. But when it came with the sort of the same metallic pieces, but the bottom piece was backwards and it didn't really fit properly on the bar here. But the block actually on both of them will slide on and off the little mounting bracket here. Now the new one had a little bent tang that you had to unbend to get it off, but so basically I'm using the old hardware and I slid the new plastic block on. The other thing is you have to pull the plastic block back against the spring and then flip the black plastic screw like 90 degrees to hold it basically cocked. Then once you get the front cover on, you stick a screwdriver on the bottom of this, give it a little twist, and it'll release the block and hopefully apply pressure to the timing chain. We shall see.